Well, Donald Trump threatened to do it. It was sort of confusing why he was threatening to do it, but he did it. Donald Trump has vetoed the second coronavirus relief package that got through the House and Senate. And now there are immediately a number of important things here. And let me get to what for many people is the most pressing and important question. Does this mean that if you were expecting a $600 check, if you make up to $75,000 a year, that you will not be getting your $600? And the answer is we can't say that yet, because this may be the first time that during Donald Trump's presidency, the House and Senate are going to override Donald Trump's veto. Remember that if a president vetoes a bill passed by the House and Senate can override that with a 2/3 vote in the House and a 2/3 vote in the Senate. And that may well happen. Reports are that the House will vote on Monday. And if the House votes to override, the Senate will reconvene on Tuesday to vote as well. Now, the explanation for why Trump vetoed this bill is actually sort of incoherent. Donald Trump, with his veto notice, saying, quote, "My administration has taken strong actions to help keep our nation safe and support our service members. I will not approve this bill, which would put the interests of the Washington, D.C. establishment over those of the American people." Now, what Trump seems to be referring to here is what he mentioned on Tuesday in that very strange speech he gave, where he listed countries and other environmental and other causes that were receiving money, but they were actually receiving the money from the spending bill, not the COVID bill, but they were passed together. Reminder of that from Donald Trump's Tuesday video.
This bill contains $85.5 million for assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment, $25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan, $505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. $40 million for the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business. $1 billion for the Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art. Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico, a provision to promote the breeding of fish in federal hatcheries, $3 million in poultry production technology, $2 million to research the impact of down trees, $566 million for construction projects at the FBI.
So there are about 3 to 4 ways in which this is incoherent. First of all, the money Trump is talking about is in the spending bill to keep government open, which was passed alongside the COVID bill as an omnibus bill. So it is true that these things were voted on together. It is not true that the COVID bill includes the things that Donald Trump is mentioning. But then adding as a next layer to this incoherence, the spending bill, which Trump is referencing, contains basically the same or less money than what Trump asked for in his own budget just some months ago. Trump asked for the money in the spending bill that he now vetoed, which is not actually part of the COVID bill. They were simply put together for a vote, which I'm against doing, to be clear. Trump also said $600 isn't enough, and he wants $2,000 during that Tuesday speech.
Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests, while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault, not their fault. I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000 for a couple. I'm also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation.
So once again, I agree with Trump, but many Democrats have been talking about $2,000 since May. And it's been Trump's Republican Party that's been against more money. Now Trump says he wants more. Well, it would have been nice for him to push for that and lobby for that in May when some Democrats wanted it. But Republicans, by and large, don't want more money. It's just up and down erratic one way or the other. And then, of course, deep down, there may be other reasons not being mentioned for Donald Trump's veto. One is that the spending bill doesn't eliminate Section 230. Trump has been obsessed with this. Section 230 says that if people post things that are legally problematic to Twitter, the people are responsible or liable, not Twitter. If people do the same thing with YouTube or Facebook, it's the users, not the platform, responsible. Trump believes that if you get rid of Section 230 and make the platforms legally responsible, lots of anti-Trump stuff would be taken down. Trump's just wrong about that. He just misunderstands. And then Trump also is essentially defunding the troops in vetoing this bill, while he claims to be the biggest supporter who has funded them more than anybody else ever has. And then lastly, it also appears Trump didn't like some of the anti-money laundering provisions that are in the spending bill, not the COVID bill. And we recently learned that Jared Kushner has been running a shell company to siphon campaign donations off and pay salaries to Trump's own family members and friends. So there's incoherence. There's likely a self-serving aspect. There's really a little bit of everything here. In the end, the mediocre bill will probably pass, as the House and Senate is expected to override Trump's veto next week. Again, if all goes as it is expected to go. What if you could read 10 books in just one sitting? That's exactly what one of my favorite apps lets you do. It's called Blinkist. And what they do is take thousands of popular nonfiction books. They condense them down into text or audio that you can consume in 15 minutes. Blinkist makes sure that you're getting all of the important core insights from each book. So it's perfect for exploring a book you otherwise wouldn't have time for. If there's a full book you're thinking about buying, you can use Blinkist to get a sample first. Just think how much you can enrich yourself by being able to soak up an entire nonfiction book in just 15 minutes. I recently checked out the book Podcast Marketing Strategy by Daniel Rolls and Kieran Rogers, and so useful, so particularly applicable to what I'm doing. Really recommend it. Blinkist has books on politics, philosophy, science. They have 27 different nonfiction categories, and a subscription is only about $8 a month, and you get the entire library. But you can try it totally free and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.